Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to the LYCRA webinar, What Pants Are You Wearing? I am sure this is only your 100th webinar this week, but don't worry, it's gonna be the best because what other webinar have you attended called What Pants Are You Wearing? We all knew comfort was king the past few years, but in the past 2 months, comfort has become a much bigger king. Fortune magazine called this new era the comfort economy. The focus is on products that help make people healthy and happy. Products such as comfy clothes, CBD, and plush bedding are all winning. Being at home has had its ups and downs. Everyone has more Zoom calls. And did we even know what Zoom was before February? We are really tired of getting those substitution texts from Instacart and Shipt. We are hiding from our children and dogs to find a quiet place to work. Toilet paper and paper towels have become precious goods. Parents are playing the role of teachers, and we live for John Krasinski's Some Good News broadcast. And our favorite saying when we get up to get dressed in the morning is business on the top, comfort on the bottom. In today's webinar, we will discuss current apparel trends. What's happening right now, what was happening a little bit before, and what will happen as we reintegrate into life. What trends will we bring forward with us and what will be new? And then we'll also talk about technologies you should be considering for designing and developing for ultimate comfort. Let me introduce you to our panelists, but I'd first like to mention, if you have any questions during the presentation, please use the little button on your right hand of your screen and go ahead and write in the question. We probably won't answer it right away, but we will answer it later, and I want you to make sure that you remember it, so go ahead and put it in. Also, we are recording this session, so if you'd like to pass this along to your colleagues or anyone else, we'd be happy to do that. We can get you a link at the end. My name is Melissa Menahan, and I'm your moderator for today. I'm the commercial leader for the LYCRA company for North America. I am going to ask each panelist what they're wearing and what their quarantine guilty pleasure has been. What I am wearing today is my Athleta joggers. And my quarantine guilty pleasure has been baking brownies with my two boys, my 2-year-old and 4-year-old. It is just making our house a lot happier. We normally don't do sweets every night, but we're breaking all the rules and we're having brownies as much as we want. Catherine Jackson is our marketing leader and going to take us through some of what is going on in apparel right now and those current trends I talked about before. But Catherine, before we start, what are you wearing and what has been your quarantine baking pleasure?
I'll start with my guilty pleasure, which has been really anything cinnamon. We actually just made some cinnamon rolls this morning with my family, and we're pretty much having those every day for breakfast. And I'm wearing one of my favorite Beyond Yoga black leggings, which are pretty much my work from home uniform right now.
I'm wondering if the black legging is going to become part of every company's dress code, because it seems like that is what we're all buying and what we're all wearing. A lot of us are wearing these days. Thank you, Catherine. Jeff Hippis and Doug Farmer are our technology celebrities. I mean, leaders, but definitely celebrities. A lot of you already know them very, very well. Jeff, can you tell us a little bit about what's changed? I think men's has probably changed. You were probably wearing your standard khaki or work pants before, and in the past 8 weeks, I imagine you haven't worn that every day. What has entered your wardrobe, and what do you think is here to stay after we, get out of quarantine or reintegrating? Can you tell us a little bit about that? Also, we want to know what your quarantine guilty pleasure has been as well.
Thank you, Melissa. So for me, I'm wearing the Lululemon ABC pants, and so they really combine the aesthetics of dress pants with the performance of sportswear. And I think that combination of benefits and performance, which always features comfort and fit, is without question a lasting trend. And I'd say at our house, our guilty pleasure, if you will, is kind of going around the world in our kitchen. We've been making a lot of Indian curries and Chinese and Mexican, Italian, etc. So that's what we've been up to.
Right. For sure, the tech pant is here to stay. It doesn't even look like you're wearing a tech pant. It looks like a workwear pant. So awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Doug, what about you? What are you wearing? And what's been your guilty pleasure?
So I'm wearing Levi's stretch denim jeans because it's so comfortable. And the guilty pleasure is an easy answer. It's Cheetos. And I have a true story. I actually had the Instacart shopper text me and say, "Are you sure that your quantity is 4? You've asked for the family sized bag." And so, yeah, a lot of Cheetos around here.
Great. Yep. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Doug. We also want to know what you, the audience, are wearing. So we want to take a little minute to have a poll. A poll should be popping up on your screen right now. We want you to vote what you're wearing. We won't ask you the last time it was laundered. We just want to know what you're wearing. So what pants are you wearing today? I'm just going to give you a minute to vote, and then we'll go right back. Okay, hopefully that wasn't too hard because you can just look down and find. So we're going to get back to that poll, tell you the results a little bit later. Now we're going to look into some of the specific trends in the market with some NPD data. Catherine?
Well, Melissa, I don't think it's a surprise to hear that cozy dressing and comfort bottoms are reshaping the apparel industry. Today, we'll review trends in comfort over the past few years, but also how COVID-19 is accelerating this trend. Let's start with performance of bottoms for both men and women. When we look at percent dollar change in 12 months ending December 2019, dress pants faced double-digit declines while comfort bottoms like sweatpants, active pants, and leggings represented the most growth. So what is the secret to pants? Looking at the data, we continue to see stretch and flex properties winning in both men's and women's bottoms. Specifically in denim, men's jeans with some sort of stretch properties grew 40% this past year. In 2019, unit sales of women's jeans with special features like lift and slimming properties increased double digits. Stretch is also driving growth in both men's and women's casual pants. Although dress pants declined, dress pants with stretch were a source of growth within the category. Non-stretch declined in these categories. When it comes to active bottoms, less than half of the men's and women's active bottoms purchased this year were intended for athletic use, hitting that consumers are buying active bottoms for everyday casual use as well. Comfort continues to win over price and style. NPD's data showed us the driving force behind consumers' apparel purchases in both 2018 and 2020. And in both 2018 and 2020, comfort was the #1 response, followed by pricing. But what's interesting is the difference year over year of those who chose comfort. Comfort was up 2 points, while price was down 8 points. More people are choosing comfort as the most important as opposed to price. Staying home should only further this trend. Now, before COVID-19, NPD noticed trends in their data about how consumers were dressing for work, working out, and the weekend. So in early March, really before we started living our lives really at home, they asked consumers how they dress for these different occasions. And even then, almost half of the adults that at least sometimes worked from home wore the same pieces of clothing for work, working out, and the weekend. Think about what this could mean as the majority of us are now currently working from home and may continue to do so even as the environment improves. Now let's look at data gathered at the beginning of COVID-19, so think mid to late March. According to NPD's trend tracker, roughly half of those who stayed at home reported wearing activewear and/or pajamas all day, and 1/3 reported wearing a bra less than usual. More to come on that in a future webinar. Although situations may have changed over the past few months, these trends and behaviors around comfort were already emerging, and we expect them to continue to accelerate as working from home has become the new norm for many of us. I wanted to thank NPD for helping us pull together all of this data. If you have any specific questions, please feel free to reach out to me, or you can also reach out to Michelle Chris at NPD.
Now, let's transition this discussion to talk about some of those technologies that are relevant for designing and developing that ultimate comfort. We've all known that there is science around comfort. We've been studying it for years here at the LYCRA company. It's even more important, again, as we're designing for ultimate comfort. Jeff, I was wondering if you could show some of the tools and methodologies we use for figuring out what science helps consumers and people feel more comfortable.
Absolutely. Thank you, Melissa. So that's a great place to start. Let's talk a little bit about measurement tools for comfort. The first thing to point out is comfort and fit are for sure subjective terms. However, you can measure them and you can put a number around multiple properties that are related to comfort and fit. And at the LYCRA company, we maintain the capability to measure multiple aspects of both comfort and fit. And that's everything from fabric stress strain properties to things like moisture management, as you see on the right side of this graph, as well as air permeability, breathability, infrared cameras. And then we also do things like pressure sensing on the body for comfort and fit. We also do body scanning to look at the effects of shaping based on garment design or garment style. And we have a wide portfolio of tools and capabilities that allow us to really be objective about something very subjective, which is comfort and fit. And the next thing I want to talk about is we kind of look into this process, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of our new and updated technologies for bottom weights. But before we go there, I'd like to talk a little bit about kind of the process of how you get there. And from our perspective, you really think about it as a diamond with four circles on it. And the first thing is fiber selection. So fibers from the LYCRA company, starting with LYCRA fibers, Coolmax fibers, mechanical stretch to LYCRA Type 400, and then combining that as an ingredient into fabric. And there's a lot of variables that you can control and optimize in going from fiber to fabric. However, that just gets you one kind of corner of the diamond or one side of the diamond. The next area where there's a lot of room for innovation and optimization of variables around meeting consumer objectives is with garment design. And then finally, you really need to make sure, you would like to make sure that you've got something that really satisfies the unmet consumer need, and that's really around fit testing. So that kind of combines all of the four corners of the diamond, if you will, and that's kind of how we see innovating from a garment perspective in the bottom weight space. However, there is kind of one thing that is actually missing from that diamond, and that's really kind of that moment of inspiration that kind of kickstarts the process. How do you get started in the first place? You have to have a goal or an objective or see things differently. And I thought, before we move into the innovations in detail, I thought I would spend just a couple minutes with a fun and hopefully thought-provoking way to look at in my view, the top 3 innovations in bottom weights that have taken place over the last 5 to 10 years. So with that, we'll kind of call it innovation math, if you will. If you look at the next slide. Give me one second. There. What you see there is one could envision, and I don't know that this is how the idea was generated, but it's an interesting thought exercise. And that is, if you take something like a traditional rigid denim and combine it with, say, the body-hugging fit and freedom of movement of a knit, in this case, hosiery, what you get is that 360-degree freedom of movement and comfort of the knit. But now combining that with denim, you get something like the stretch denim movement, which has been a key category in the denim space for the last several years. Another idea is, if you take that and go one step further, what if you start with the stretch denim and combine it with something like, the body-hugging fit of a knit, and this time actually make a knit. In the first case, stretch denim is indeed still a woven fabric, although with greatly enhanced comfort and fit. Now, what if you actually interpret that combination in a knit framework. And what you see there is the leggings, which have been arguably, the core garment within the whole athleisure movement, and they're a staple of wardrobes everywhere today. The next thought is, men haven't really been left out of that equation either. What's happening in menswear is a revolution, and that, again, the pants that I mentioned I was wearing earlier, the Lululemon ABC pants, is one great example. What if you take the traditional khaki and combine it with, say, a polyester lycra compression shirt? And what you get if you combine those two benefits or those two aesthetics into one garment, you get something that is essentially a technical woven. You get something that has the, performance aspects of the polyester lycra compression shirt, but yet retains the aesthetics of the cotton-rich or cotton-dominated khaki. So that's, I don't know that's exactly how the thought processes were that got there, but as we think about garment and consumer relevant innovation in the textile space, combining technologies to get something new and different that provides a unique garment that the consumer is going to like is I believe, one surefire way to success. So with that as kind of background, and with those three garment categories as kind of our framework, I'd like to now spend a little bit of time. We're going to talk you through three different innovations we have that are both new and updated technologies for bottom weights. And the first one is LYCRA MyFit. That's a new elastane or new lycra fiber from the LYCRA company. And this is truly a unique chemistry, a unique spandex science or fiber technology, polymer and fiber technology that gives you a really unique set of benefits. And the reason why people use lycra in the first place is stretch. And that's what's innovative about this fiber. It actually has a new stretch and recovery or retraction profile to enable garment categories such as bottom weights to have a new and unique aesthetic or modulus and feeling on the body. And so to talk a little bit more about that, kind of the problem we thought we were solving, in this case, that moment of inspiration was, even in the picture you see here where the ladies are all wearing leggings in this case, they're all approximately size medium, but they have different body shapes, different hips and different thighs and different shoulders, et cetera, et cetera. And so, what we feel, even within a single category, is the consumer feels or faces a choice between balancing things that are contrasting, comfort and support and appearance. And, on the two extremes, one can imagine a garment that is extremely tight and constricting, but it may support you incredibly well, and it might even look pretty good. However, that garment, kind of the straitjacket analogy, you may not be able to move, and it may not be very comfortable. It may be okay for 20 minutes, and then when you wear it all day long, it gets uncomfortable just due to restriction behavior. Second extreme, one can imagine a garment that is incredibly loose and incredibly comfortable, but doesn't really provide any support, and certainly doesn't have an appearance that you would wear, out in public or in a professional or, social setting. So our thought here was, with the new lycra fiber, to really attack that problem and come up with something that makes that balance and provides the comfort, support, and appearance all in one product. And specifically, we have succeeded. The LYCRA MyFit fiber really accomplishes that goal. And what we have done with, kind of technically speaking with LYCRA MyFit is we've kind of made a hybrid lycra fiber, if you will. And that is, most folks think of, something as being high modulus or something as being soft stretch. What's unique about LYCRA MyFit fiber is when the garment or fabric is stretched 0 to say 20%, it behaves like high modulus. And you need high modulus there. That's so you can get that customized fit. That's so it stays in place and doesn't shift on the body. But then when that fabric is stretched 30, 40, and 50% or higher, it behaves more like a soft stretch fiber, but it's all in the same product. So it's and it's a robust lycra fiber that works across, the textile space. It works in, warp knits, tricot, Rochelle, and circular knit, double jersey, wovens, etc. So, when you have a garment that has that kind of combined behavior, where you're combining two things, the high modulus and soft stretch all in the same product, what you can imagine then is when the person is doing, physical activities or exertion are stretching that fabric, stretching their body and therefore stretching the fabric by say more than 20%, as the lady in the picture is doing, you want it to move with you like a second skin, not be restrictive. And you also want that garment to be easier to put on and take off. And that, that's really the donning event. And, thinking about leggings as an example, and it's also true for sports bras, but if you think about leggings, they don't really have a button and zipper on them. You have to stretch them out to put them on. And the same is true for sports bras. They don't really have a clasp. Often they go straight over your head. So the donning situation, or when you're donning the garment, you're really extending the fabric even further. And we want that as well to be a pleasant experience. And then second, when the garment is on your body and you're changing positions, you're in a relaxed state, you're doing moderate levels of exertion, you want that garment to feel like a customized fit. You want the support and you want the shaping. And of course, throughout the entire range of motions, you want it to stay in place. And so that's really what we've accomplished with the LYCRA MyFit fiber. And look onto the next slide is kind of a pictorial summary of that, is kind of a simpler way to explain that. One can imagine, if you look at the lady on the left, she's bending her knee, and that might also stretch the garment in the lengthwise direction along the thigh. That fabric might be stretched as much as 30%. And that stretch comes from the person. Fabrics don't stretch themselves. The individual is applying the force that is causing that fabric to stretch, in this case with regular spandex, 30%. That's energy that goes into stretching that fabric that could have been used to stretch just a little bit farther. It could have been used to work a little bit longer. It could have been used for many other things, but if you're going to wear the garment, it had to be used in this case to stretch the garment 30%. With the MyFit, because once you get beyond 20% stretch, you're in that area where it elongates more easily. You're stretched 38%. So from 30 to 38%, in this particular case, this lady doing those yoga poses doesn't have to exert any additional energy. If she wants to go from 30 to 38% or work a little bit harder, the fabric is just going to move with her and not demand more out of her energy reserves to stretch that fabric. And that the same is true on the right side. If you go farther, when you stretch, say 40%, now the MyFit will be stretched 55%. So what you see there is a situation where at those higher exertion levels, when the fabric is stretched beyond, say, 20%, it's behaving more like an easy stretch or soft stretch fabric. But again, the unique proposition with this product is when you're at, say, 20%, 10%, and even fully relaxed or washing the garment, all of the compression and fit and shaping that you're used to is there. So with that, I'm going to stop and turn it over to my colleague, who will talk about, Doug Farmer, who will talk about the second of the three innovations we'd like to present to you today.
Thanks, Jeff. The next solution for comfort is LYCRA FitSense. And I thought I would broadcast the title screen. Sorry about that. If you look at the woman pictured in the photo, you can see stripes running down her leg and around her thigh. These aren't just for decoration. This is a very specialized functional print that's creating lightweight targeted support in specific areas that are designed to bring her solutions that she wants in that garment. This is LYCRA FitSense. Gone are laminated panels, seams, complicated garments. Instead, now the new innovation here is a single layer of fabric printed with LYCRA polymer. There's still LYCRA fiber in the fabric, but now there's LYCRA polymer printed selectively in areas to give this targeted lightweight support. So I'd like to show you how this works. This is, inside this bottle is LYCRA polymer. It's in a dispersion with water. And so if I pour some out, you can see now it's in a liquid form. And so we can print this in a pattern or a design on the garment to create the stripes like you saw on the leg, or different types of patterns in different garments, depending on the need. Now, you saw me run my finger through this. This is not hazardous. A lot of printing materials have a solvent. You go into a printing room, you smell something, you wonder, will I have a headache in an hour? What will these people do that work here all their life? There is no solvent, it's only water. And the way this is applied is through simple screen printing. So I'm showing you here a typical screen. This one has the LYCRA FitSense logo on it. You wouldn't necessarily print that for a lightweight targeted support, but as a demonstration, this screen would be created with a motif or a design for where you want the material to be printed. So the lighter color, small holes, you would literally pour the LYCRA FitSense dispersion onto the screen, swipe the screen, and print it onto a fabric. Once it's printed, as you see here, this is in color red. What I showed you here would dry clear, so it can be not obvious, or it can be highly obvious, depending on the addition of pigments into the dispersion. Once it's printed, then it's dried. That 60% water is evaporated. What's left is cured in place, and then it stays for the life of the garment. So successive home launderings, no problem. And screen printing is familiar to garment makers around the world. I mean, they're printing care labels or perhaps visual motifs. Now we're bringing a functional characteristic through simple screen printing. And the design of the print is important because exactly where you want the targeted support, so you actually would create a pattern that would place it there and give you that targeted support in the exact place you want it. So there's a lot of versatility in design. It can be printed on the inside where no one sees it, maybe just a visual cue from the wearer as they're putting the garment on. It can be printed on the outside. As I said, it could have vibrant color, maybe a subtle tone-on-tone color. Lots of versatility there. We're excited that a number of these applications have made their way to retail. I'd like to show you a little bit around the technology, a little bit more in detail about how this works. And even if you have seen an introduction to LYCRA FitSense before, maybe there's some new things that I'll show you today that you haven't seen. So again, a revolutionary patented technology. The point of this is to create functional garments that are much more elegantly simple in their design. So they're much more comfortable to wear, but create this functionality of lightweight, targeted support. In the case of bottoms, which we're talking about today, these garments would move with you, would be giving you the features. Maybe in the right-hand side, you see a more complex of the illustration. You see a more complex garment that has panels and areas and zones that have been engineered in. Well, this would replace that with a single layer printed and give you the comfortable shaping or support or functionality, but not be binding or bulky. I'm talking about bottoms. The program is about what pants are you wearing, but this technology is also useful for lots of other types of garment categories. And we've made plenty of garments, and there are garments at retail in some of these other categories as well. So a couple of technical examples. First, you see here a legging. The red dashes simply indicate where the areas have been printed. They haven't been printed with those designs. The design is more like what you see in the inset photo. So a discontinuous dotted sort of print pattern in those particular areas. And so what's happening here is it's helping the garments stay in place better. And that's an important consumer need for leggings. We put the garment on a person. We actually take a tape measure. We would mark the initial position of the garment. In this case, have the person jump and then measure how much the garment has slid or displaced along their skin. The graph shows the results in this case. So the gray bars are the garment with no print. So there's been a significant sliding. The red bar in that same area of the body, you can see much less displacement or much less movement of the garment. So it's staying in place better. Another cool finding about this technology is the whole garment works as a system. You can print in one area of the garment, but create effects or benefits that are in a different area. So when I say targeted, you do print in a targeted place, but the effect in support or comfort or stay in place might be affecting other areas of the garment. I'll give you an example of that as well. In this case, we've got a sport legging. This has not been printed. So the photos you see, the front photo, not printed. The side photo, the tiny blue dot, is where we put a force transducer under the fabric. So next to the skin, but underneath the fabric. So we can measure the amount of force change when the person is moving. So the first part of the graph is pretty flat. The person's just breathing. And then we ask her to do a deep bend. You can see the force rises, or the pressure from the side of the waistband rises sharply. However, when we print, this time in the tummy, still measuring on the side, but the print is in the tummy, you can see that that force profile is significantly less. There's less resistance during movement. The garment is not fighting the person wearing it. Less adjustments during the day, not having to constantly adjust or readjust a garment because it's moving around, or more comfort in motion. So all of this creates more confidence, not only more comfort, but more confidence in the wearer. A different example is where we've printed under the rear, again, measuring at the waistband, in this case, the top of the back. And if you look at the plots below, the same thing happens. Fairly low and constant with breathing, a sharp rise in motion, but much less change when the garment has been printed. So it's moving with you, it's less resistive. So in summary then, printing at the tummy or in the back, one print, multiple functions. Targeted support, less resistance during movement, moves with you, stays in place, and as I said earlier, even optionally with color. So this is the next solution for comfort. It's called LYCRA Fit Sense. If you have questions, be sure and enter them in the panel. We'll answer them later. But as I leave you, remember these four things: lightweight, targeted, support, LYCRA Fit Sense. Thanks, and we'll go back to Jeff for the next solution for comfort.
Thank you, Doug. So I'd like to now switch gears and talk a little bit about denim.
Jeff, I think you're on mute. It wouldn't be a webinar without a few hiccups here and there. There you are. Okay. We can hear you now, Jeff.
Yep, I hear you. Give me
Got it.
1 second. We need to move back 2 slides.
Okay, perfect.
There we go. Sorry for the little technical glitch. Wanted to speak a little bit as the third technology around our dual effects denim platform. And denim provides a number of challenges because of the fact that it's a woven fabric, and yet we still want that fabric to stretch 20, 30, 40, and 50%, and even higher. And it's also a cotton-rich structure. So that provides a number of challenges. Let's just say making it stretch that far is easy. Making it coming back that all the way back is the hard part. and making it come back after the denim washing, after maybe the distressing that you see in the garment that the lady is wearing, can be challenging. And within the LYCRA company, we have a very unique and very unique technology called LYCRA Dual Effects, which is a patented combination of lycra fiber as well as T400, which is a mechanical stretch fiber. And this is one of those, really unique situations where kind of, 1 + 1 = 3. And that is to really make that garment stretch 30, 40, 50% and beyond. Either one of those two fibers can get there, but to make it come all the way back, neither of them work perfectly well by themselves. What we found is when you combine them, there's a synergistic effect that really allows you to meet expectations both at the trade level as well as ultimately consumer satisfaction in a denim framework to give you that, super stretch or stretch denim platform that I mentioned earlier. And so with that, I'd like to move on to the next slide and talk a little bit about our LYCRA FREEF technology, which is kind of the newest extension of that platform. By working together with our partner mills that develop the fabrics and also including the garment design, we have a platform based upon the FREEF technology, based upon the dual effects technology known as LYCRA FREEF. And if you move to the next slide, what you see here is a, kind of bringing it all back to the beginning, that diamond I showed where you talk about fiber selection, fabric selection, garment selection, and measurement. This really combines or brings us back to that diamond example. And what you see there is a mannequin on the right side, and it's an expandable mannequin. So for example, you can take the waist or the girth around the waist from say 40 inches up to 46 inches by moving that dial you see in the picture on the right. And what you also see there are some denim fabrics that have been sewn into a loop and placed around the torso of the mannequin with a pressure sensor in between. And so what we're really trying to do here is, really understand and measure the ability of the FREEF fabric to have a flatter curve. And that, that's something we talk a lot about with the COVID-19 situation. Well, flattening the curve is also a very good thing as it relates to innovation in comfort science. And what I mean by that is as the mannequin is expanded or as the person goes through different activities that might stretch the fabric more, of course the force will rise. We want it to rise, but we don't want it to rise too high or too steeply, or so steeply that it becomes restrictive. And so through a combination of on-body wear trials and predictive testing like we see here, we can really optimize the full 4 circles in the diamond. And so what you're seeing here is, again, the pressure sensor is between the garment, or in this case, the fabric strip and the mannequin. And as the mannequin is expanded across those different sizes, what you're seeing is the amount of force is increasing. And if you look over on the left in the graph, in the red in particular, what you see there is the normal stretch fabric is in red, and it's about 0.4 compressive force at 40 inches. If that mannequin is expanded, or the person wearing it moves from 40 inches to 46 inches in terms of the amount of activity they're doing, they temporarily stretch that fabric a bit. Maybe they're lifting their knees, they're sitting, they're jogging, etc. They're moving in any particular way, doing any activities that would increase the stretch. What you see is that red bar continues to rise in a number of discrete steps. And in fact, it nearly doubles from 0.4 to 0.8. What you see now below are 4 different examples from some of our development partners with the LYCRA FREEF, where they have indeed, shall we say, flattened the curve. And what that means is you have a wider fit window or a wider comfort profile. And for things like online purchases, let's say the person that wears it is a 43-inch or 42-inch waist. If when they ordered it, they guessed wrong, they're actually a 43, or maybe they grew a little bit, or maybe they do a lot of strenuous activities and they really stretch the garment a lot. Every time they go from 42 to 43, in this case, they're going to be living on, say, one of those lower graphs instead of the red one up above, where the force is really going to step up quickly. And so, what you see there is a quantitative evaluation of comfort. And again, so that kind of brings us back to where we started, which is really thinking through fiber, fabric, garment, and testing is really the science of comfort and fit from the LYCRA company. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Melissa.
So Jeff, you're saying I can wear my jeans for more than just my quarantine weight check-in?
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks. Now we want to go back to the poll. Remember the poll where we asked you what you were wearing? Let's see what the winner is. Put the poll up. Okay, it looks like, wow, stretch jeans is the winner. So it looks like everybody's really fitting into the stretch jeans. They are going nowhere, probably more stretch, less rigid as we go forward into this new time. Great, thank you. Now we want to take some of your questions. You've already put in a few. So I want to start, Jeff, with you. There was a question about MyFit. Someone that says they're designing for compression. You mentioned soft stretch. Can you explain a little bit how the compression and soft stretch works together in this solution?
Yeah, so LYCRA MyFit fiber is really designed for movement. That's where its unique value comes in. So when the garment is tried on, when the garment is on the body at rest or in moderate activities, it's designed to have all the fit and compression that you're looking for. But then when you move, when you do something that might stretch that fabric more than 20%, that's where it brings in its unique selling proposition, which is we want it to be softer. We want the force to go up, of course, but we want it to go up at a much lower rate so that it provides that comfort and movement, that true second skin effect.
So you get the compression with the comfort.
Yes.
Magic. Okay, great. There was one other MyFit question that I thought, well, I had you, I would ask. Does MyFit fiber lead to less sheerness in leggings or tights when used?
So the honest answer is LYCRA MyFit fiber doesn't help or hurt sheerness. The thing to think about is, especially as it relates to sheerness, that's a perfect example for the diamond I described earlier. That's really a result of a combination of fiber, fabric, and garment together. And that's something we'd be happy to work with anyone that has concerns or wants to optimize something to minimize sheerness. But one thing I want to be clear about is fabrics with LYCRA MyFit, they don't stretch farther. They just don't take, so in other words, they're not more open. They just don't take as much energy to get there.
Okay.
So that, they're more comfortable, but they're not more open or more sheer than any other. It's really just a question of how efficient they are in terms of not taking as much energy to get there. So.
Thank you. Doug, we've had a couple of questions, or quite a few questions on FitSense. So I want to start out with one, and then I'm actually going to let you answer a couple all at once. There was a question about LYCRA FitSense. How many home launders has it been tested with? Will it withstand tumble drying? And then what level of reduction in power is considered failure?
Sure. So we've done extensive work with making sure this product will survive home launderings. The key is when I was talking about the print step, after the print step, the water is evaporated and the print is cured. And that's just like any other ink or resin that's in textile printing. It gets cured, and that curing step locks in the material. We've tested out to 50 home launderings and basically stopped because what's the point? So what we're seeing on different fabrics, whether it's a nylon-based or a polyester, lycra-based fabric, or synthetic or even natural fibers, we're seeing that if it's cured properly, then it lasts over the life of the garment. Now, is there any power loss at all? Well, there can be just a few percent right at the beginning. It would happen basically immediately, and so then plateau to a lower number. That's only a few percent. It's easily accommodated for by designers, just like they would accommodate for shrinkage or other types of issues.
So another question about FitSense is this just applies to knits or woven constructions as well?
So we've certainly been focused on knit, but whether in intimates, where some of our initial work was done, or then later in activewear, close to the body type garments. But research is continuing into other fabric structures and garment types. So there's certainly more to come.
Will MyFit work with swim?
MyFit will absolutely work with swim. MyFit is designed to be perfectly suitable to leisure swim, sports swim. Now, if you're looking for chlorine-proof options, then I'd want to talk with you about, say, our LYCRA T400 fiber. I wouldn't go so far as to say chlorine proof. It is not that, but it is a chlorine resistant fiber.
Okay. We've had a lot of questions about LYCRA solutions that are sustainable or biodegradable. We have a lot of solutions that are sustainable. We actually had a whole webinar 2 weeks ago about sustainability and LYCRA solutions. So I'd love to hold those questions and forward you guys that webinar, just because there's a lot there, and we are certainly very dedicated to the sustainability products. We have a lot of them. A lot of our products are naturally sustainable. I mean, Doug talked a little bit about how FitSense has water as the solvent, not any other harsh chemicals. So it's something that we think about every day as we are designing products. But I will not answer those individual ones because that is on another webinar.
Yeah, one more thing. I saw a number, there's question after question. Thank you, folks, for all your questions and your interest. I will tell you that we can't answer everything today, but we have put together like a knowledge book on LYCRA FitSense. There are lots of data and answers to questions that you have. And so we would really like to continue the dialogue. So as we leave here, if you're interested in more discussion about LYCRA FitSense, let's have that meeting. Let's have all those questions answered and move forward together.
Okay. I think we have a lot of the questions answered. I'm just going to give you guys a minute or two more. Let's see. Here's another one, Doug. Will polyester dyes migrate through LYCRA FitSense print? Like if you printed a white print onto a black poly fabric?
Sure. For sure, printing on a nylon lycra-based fabric is more straightforward and easy. Printing on polyester with the different polyester finishing conditions or dye stuffs and so forth, there are more stringent rules to respect in that area. And we've continued to make great progress. In fact, we have right now much energy in reintroducing or reinvigorating polyester fabrics and activewear as a solution. Will exactly what you described, a light fabric, a light print, dark fabric, might you have dye migration? The selection of the pigments, you want to have thermally stable pigments. You want to have a fabric that has good wash fastness, so there is less propensity for migration. You want to use lower curing temperature, so you don't drive sublimation from the polyester. So there are definitely things to do. Will every possible configuration work? I mean, we haven't tested everything, but there definitely are more issues and pitfalls. So whoever asked that question is aware of that, and that it's more difficult than a nylon system. But we are definitely moving in polyester in a big way.
I'm going to take one more. We have time for one more question. Jeff, can LYCRA technology be combined with antibacterial recipes?
Yes, there is no reason that you could not do that. That's another one where typically the antibacterial recipes have a certain set of conditions for curing, in this case, creating wash durability of the antimicrobial coating or treatment. And we'd be happy to work with you on that. But to the best of my knowledge, the temperatures that are required are not a problem for the LYCRA MyFit.
Okay, great. If we did not get to your question today, please feel free to reach out to your account representative or whoever sent you the email to attend this. You can also go to our website, and we'd be happy to answer your questions there. All the information is on your screen. If you have any questions about the MPD data, feel free to contact Michelle. Okay, thank you all. Thank you for attending our webinar today. We would like for you to stay safe, stay healthy, stay comfy, and please attend our next webinar called How Do We Get Back Into Those Bras? Thank you again so much. We very much appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you at another webinar. Have a great week.